From the heart of America, where hard work, freedom, and faith still define who we are. From the farms to the factories, from small towns to city streets, this is the fight for the soul of our nation.
We're watching Democrats attack democracy. Do not be fooled.
The strength, the grit, the greatness of the American spirit, all right here.
The left wanted power, not peace, but there's a resistance rising. A generation saying enough, enough. We've tried it their way, and it failed.
The Steve Gruber Show with your host, Steve Gruber, starts right now.
On another action-packed day. Glad to have you here as we're fighting for you for the foxhole of freedom. Wrapping out a week here, and what a week it's been. Making sure you have the right person shoulder to shoulder with you in the foxhole of freedom every single day. That matters a lot, especially when things are going to get tough. Let's get rolling. There's a lot to cover. Here are three big things you need to know. Number one, Minnesota's governor, Tim Walz, says he's done with politics, which is funny considering with everything that's been exposed, he couldn't get elected dog catcher anywhere in Minnesota or anywhere else. Number two, also in Minnesota, the Democrats think they have intimidated federal immigration officers to the point of running them out of town. I hope that's not true. No matter what the polls say, enforce the law. That's why we have them. And number three, we shift gears a little bit today. In Georgia, it seems the election of 2020 was, in fact, a total fraud. Of course, we've talked about this for years now, but with the FBI raid this week, it appears they've now found the proof. It's been hidden for years and years. The cheaters may have been caught in Georgia. The reason the FBI raided Fulton County, I think it's coming into full relief. Listen to this.
And if you think that maybe that's, if you think that maybe that's just a mistake or just a coincidence, here's the next one that shows. You can see Republican is written there, Republicans written there. This is ballot 61. This is ballot number 2. And then each one of them even has this little dot in the Fannie Willis.
Okay, and do you have more of those?
We have the entire batch. There's 62 images in here total, and I didn't even get a chance to go through all of them. But these are the most obvious ones where it's clear that it's the same.
What you're looking at there,
this one's got the
for those of you
tail
watching,
on the
is the
side.
fact that the marks on the ballot are identical. Identical. You can come back to me now. It's fine. They've got piles of these, box after box after box. That's what the FBI was taking into custody because it's required that they keep that evidence. They did. Now it's in the hands of the FBI. All right? And despite that, here's what's so remarkable. Democrats continue to refuse to require any kind of ID to vote. They don't want you to have any ID to vote at all. Mark Kelly, the senator from Arizona, claiming that voter ID makes it harder to vote. Listen.
What do you think about Republicans in the House talking about attaching the SAVE Act to the DHS funding bill if it is amended?
Well, I think it doesn't surprise me. I mean, it's consistent with what we've seen. They just sent the FBI to raid Fulton County election office there, so I'm not surprised. They want to make it harder for people to vote, and they want to continue, Donald Trump's, bullshit story about how his election was stolen in 2020.
So you're against proof of citizenship or identification to vote?
Here's what he's saying. Having a driver's license makes it hard to vote. I guess having a driver's license makes it hard to drive, too, huh, Senator? Brilliant assessment. A sad state of affairs, actually. And with that, let's open up the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline for Free Speech, Free for All Friday. The Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline, 877-310-9966. 877-310-9966. We start today. Joe in South Carolina. Let's kick things off. How are you?
Well, I'm limping along.
Good. What's on your mind?
Well, number one, I'd like to comment that you and your missus there have one of the best shows on RAV.
Thank you.
And y'all do a great job every day.
Appreciate that.
There's two items I'd like to talk about. Number one, I presume you saw the Ilhan Omar attack.
Yeah, whatever that was. That's now under FBI investigation as well because it looks staged. Nobody gets sprayed with a foreign substance and stands there and goes, "Oh, okay, I'll be all right." That's not protocol at all. If you get sprayed, if I got sprayed as a politician on a stage with something I didn't know what it was, first of all, that person's being tackled and arrested. I think they were, but I'm not standing there. I'm going to get checked out by somebody. All right, what's number 2?
Well, no, there's 3 items to it. Just name one. One is if you were number 1, want to get that.
I got a
get
problem.
that off.
I apologize, Joe, but I got a problem with the connection. I can't hear you very well. I apologize for that, but we'll stick with your first comment. Thanks for kicking things off, Joe. I apologize. The connection just not very good. I don't know where he is in South Carolina. Maybe it's snowing there. Maybe. Let's go to Ed in Indiana, see if the connection is better. Ed, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Steve. This is before your time, but riots in the 60s started in Watts and ended in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and they were ready for them. It lasted about 3 days.
1967.
The first day they shut the county down, and unless you were an emergency worker, a hospital worker, or a police officer, they didn't let anything. They shut all the businesses down. The second day, they opened the grocery stores for about 4 hours that the people could get there, and they literally ended that in about 3 or 4 days, and that was the last riot.
Yeah, that was it. 1967 happened in Detroit, not too far from me. I was with us, but I don't remember it. You're right about that, Ed. Here's the problem today. The mainstream media is completely opposed to Donald Trump, Republicans, anything they do. They think that not having IDs to vote is a good idea. They think having an open border is a good idea. They think that anything that Donald Trump does is wrong. And they think that violent agitators like Alex Preddy should be given a blank check to do anything that they please, anything at all, with free reign. Alex Preddy probably should not have been shot because I don't think he was a danger at that point. However, the police didn't know that. It's a justified shooting. It's an unfortunate situation, but one that was created by the chaos that's been allowed to run wild in Minneapolis, almost exclusively in Minneapolis. Good call, Ed. Greatly appreciate it. Let's go to Jeffrey in Maine. They've got a lot of trouble in Maine, too. Jeffrey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. What's on your mind? Thank you.
Well, I'm just watching the news here in Maine this morning, and Susan Collins is calling for a stop on ice, and in the whole town of Portland down there, where I'm in I'm in northern Maine, where we vote for Trump, so we're not well liked, but it doesn't matter. Those people down there are going to shut down their businesses and try to ruin the economy, they said.
Yeah, it's never going to happen. People are not going to shut down their businesses and bankrupt themselves for people they don't know. That's not going to happen. But for Susan Collins, it's a tough sell. Look, she's in a place that if she doesn't win, this is the problem you have, Jeffrey, in Maine. If Susan Collins doesn't win, she's a usual supporter. She's, supported Supreme Court nominees and so forth. If she doesn't win, you end up with a raging leftist like Angus King. That's the problem.
Right.
So you have to vote for Susan Collins. You don't have any choice. You have to vote for Susan Collins. There's just no other choice. Jeffrey, I apologize, but that's the way it is, because otherwise those folks down in Portland and Lewiston and elsewhere will vote for some communist, frankly. Thank you for calling in. Greatly appreciated. It's free speech, free for all Friday. Got the calls lined up, 877-310-9966. There it is. There's the number. All right, let's jump back into it now on a Free Speech, Free for All Friday. I always appreciate you being here. I do. Look, we cover all of these stories. You know what's really baffling to me? I've got to be honest with you. Obviously, the polling numbers are bad for Republicans on enforcing the immigration laws. Otherwise, you wouldn't have had seven Republicans join the Democrats to block the funding bill yesterday. You wouldn't have the president making a deal with Chuck Schumer to figure out how to separate 5 funding bills from the DHS bill. Now, look, ICE is funded through 2029. They got $75 billion in the one big beautiful bill. But they're threatening to not fund FEMA and Department of Homeland Security. They're calling for Kristi Noem to be fired from her job. Come on. For doing the thing that they were elected to do. And I hear people on the Republican side say, oh, I didn't vote for this. You didn't? What do you think? Getting out 20 million people, many, and you're never going to get all of them, but the ones that are the worst, you think it's going to be easy to do? And especially when Minneapolis doesn't cooperate and won't give the federal government, those that are in custody in local jails and so forth, 1,600 of them, all they had to do was turn them over. We wouldn't have had any of these issues. Just turn them over like every other state does, or most other states do, or most other cities. I mean, you've got Chicago and other places, but no places that like Minneapolis. No places that bad for a reason. Let's go to Brad in Missouri. Brad, how are you today?
Hey, good morning, Steve. Love your show. Hey, I got a quick comment and maybe just something you can reflect on. If they prove they're down in Fulton County, if they prove that the election was rigged down there, and there's a few other states that they're going to go to.
Sure.
Wouldn't the 22nd Amendment be no, because he won 3 times. Don't they have to give him that third term?
No, here's why. You'd like to think so, Brad. But no, because here's one thing that the Constitution missed. The Constitution didn't realize how dishonest the Democrats of 2026 would be, or 2020, as it were. Constitution's here. There's no provision. There's no mechanism to rectify an election that was taken by fraud. Now, I want to know what the final score is. So do you. And I want them to go to Wayne County, Michigan, and Maricopa County, Arizona, and so forth. I want them to do all those things. I want to show us. I mean, you've seen the video that I just showed here on the program. I mean, when the circles are filled in with exactly the same shape, the one has a little tail on it. I mean, all it is a duplicate mark put on every ballot, and then those ballots are run through and run through and run through. Look, Joe Biden did not, let me be clear about this, did not get 81 million votes. Joe Biden didn't magically exceed the greatest total ever received by any candidate by several million votes. Did not happen, all right? The idea that it did or anybody would believe that it did is just foolish. All right, now, I don't know if Biden fraudulently won all 7 swing states. You'd have to think it's a good possibility. But I never thought, I never thought it was about the machines. I mean, let me just say this. I never thought it was about the machines. I always thought it was about these mass mail-in ballots. Turns out I was probably right. Go ahead.
But that was my point, sir. I mean, he's already won it 3 times. In order to adjudicate that, wouldn't they have to give him a third term?
Well, no, because, again, there's no way to change the outcome of the 2020 election. That's in the history books. That's over. So he did not win. It's like a bad call in a football game. Really bad call. I have no other analogy for you. Fact of the matter is, he was not awarded, how about that, the 2020 election victory, so therefore it does not violate the 22nd Amendment. Good call, though, Brad. I look forward to seeing what they come up with there. Marianne is in Pennsylvania. Marianne, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Steve. I love your show. By the way, if they close the government down, Democrats should not be paid. Whoever shuts it down, they shouldn't get their paycheck.
I agree with that.
That's how I see it.
Yeah, you shut your business down, you don't get paid, generally speaking. I agree with that. So there it is.
If they're going to shut the government down, they should not collect their paycheck. Another thing, in Minneapolis, they should get water buffaloes, wet all those protesters down, and make them into human popsicles. Let them go home and change their clothes.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm 100% for ICE. I can't wait until they come to PA because we got a ton of here that are illegals.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you, Mary
You
Ann.
have a good day, sir.
You too. Thank you very much. Yeah, she wants to ice them down. Can you imagine? It's minus 6 degrees here at the studio this morning here in Michigan. I was talking to a colleague of mine in Minneapolis yesterday. It was minus 6 when he was on the air yesterday afternoon with me. And, you spray some water on some folks then, yeah, they turn into popsicles real quick. Let's talk to Perry in Missouri. Perry, how are you?
Steve, what I want to say is about 3 million illegals they've took out of the country. How come we ain't showing how much money that's saving us? You know, that if you don't say nothing, don't show nothing, what do you expect?
You know, we just sent our 4th flight to Iran. I learned this yesterday. We've sent 4 flights to Iran with illegals. We keep shipping them out. And, there's progress being made. We're nowhere near what Barack Obama did, but there is progress being made, Perry. So that's good news, right?
Yeah, but don't you think, Steve, they ought to put to a penny showing how much money they've saved us? Rent, food stamps, welfare, and all the other stuff these people have been drawing on, and they take their big phones and throw them away then. Thank you, Steve.
Greatly appreciate it, Perry. Thank you very much. Ed in Texas, we got about 45 seconds. Work quickly, sir.
I'll try to do this very quickly, Steve. I love your show.
Thank you.
I have a mortgage that was bought out by a company where my interest is going to some nefarious deeds, I believe, and the owner of that company is George Soros.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Mortgage.
You know, George Soros has his dirty fingers in all sorts of things. He's got it in radio stations, which affects me. He's got it in mortgages, which affect you, Ed. He hates America. Why does he even want to be here? Free speech, free for all Friday. I'll be right back. All right, let's jump right back into it. I appreciate your phone calls. I enjoy doing Free Speech, Free for All Friday. I have people ask me, do you like taking all those calls? I do. Because I get different perspectives, whether it's South Carolina, Indiana, Maine, Missouri, wherever it is, and I appreciate it. Let's see. Michelle is in Florida, where I'm sure it's not minus 6 degrees this morning. Michelle, how are you today?
Good. How you doing, Steve?
Good.
So, a couple of things. I started voting when I moved to Florida. I didn't know you couldn't vote without an ID. Second of all, our gas prices here are up to $2.99 again. And as far as groceries, depends on what store you shop at, how much the prices are. So those are my comments.
That's because oil prices, see, commodities right now are following the run of gold and silver. So copper is up, oil is up, maybe a good chance to invest. No advice, just an idea. There's only so much that can be done to keep prices, after the damage that was done from the inflation by Joe Biden, only so much that can be done. You know, we have like $175 trillion of debt. They tell you $40 trillion. But when you put in unfunded liabilities for, retirement plans and everything else, we are so far deep in the hole of money that we can never pay. It's a real disaster. Michelle, thank you for the call. Let's get Mark in from Pennsylvania before we hit the break. Mark, how are you?
Good. How are you, Steve?
I'm good, thank you.
Well, my comment today is basically going to be about accountability. You know, the ICE officer, the police officer, he's completely accountable, body cams and the whole 9 yards. How about senators and federal judges and governors and mayors also be accountable? So in other words, when they cross-thread the public they're supposed to serve, the public has the ability to sue them in open court for every penny they're worth. What do you think?
You know, holding public officials accountable is a good idea. Very difficult to do, though. I mean, think about this, Mark. You've got all these lawyers. I think half of Congress is lawyers. Of course, all the judges are lawyers, and they're all friends, and they all work together. That's why we have these terrible laws where you can be an ambulance-chasing attorney and put somebody out of business because somebody fell on the ice in front of your store or dumped hot coffee. And there's so many things to fix there, Mark. I can't do it in 6 seconds, sorry. I'll be right back. It's Free for All Friday. All right, welcome back to it. Look, Michelle in Florida just made a comment basically about this thing that the Democrats have made up about affordability, right? In the last election here in November, and I'm sorry, I have a cold today, so bear with me if I have to blow my nose a bit. So Michelle points out affordability and the price of gas back at $2.99. That's about what it is here in Michigan, too. It's gone back up. It was down to about 245 at one point, and now it's gone way back up. Oil prices are on the rise, which is just what it is. In Virginia, they ran on affordability. Spanberger, the governor now, ran on affordability. And boy, are the people there a little surprised. A little surprised. You see, the Democrats, they campaigned on affordability in less than a month. You need to see this. In less than a month, they've come out with 50, count them, 50 new taxes on the people. Listen to this.
Here's a list of the many tax increases and proposals Democrats in Virginia are considering passing. They include additional local sales tax in all Virginia counties and cities, new personal property tax on electric leaf blowers and electric landscaping equipment, large employer tax, gun and ammunition tax, new income tax brackets, a delivery tax. This would hit you if you make an order on Amazon, Uber Eats, or an order that includes UPS, FedEx delivery, etc. here in Northern Virginia. There's also a tax they're looking at for events, concerts, an investment income tax, storage facility tax, gym membership tax, dog walking tax, dog grooming tax, counseling tax, digital personal property tax, new car taxes and highway use fees, an increase in the hotel tax here in Arlington. Statewide speed cameras. Now, these aren't taxes, but they would include more fines for some drivers. Dry cleaning tax, home repair tax, and a vehicle repair tax.
By the way, that list goes on. That's a local reporter there in Virginia. A dog walking tax, a gym tax, a car repair tax. Your car breaks down. It's already too expensive. You're wondering if you can make it, to the next paycheck. Your car breaks down. They want to put a tax on that, on top of the cost of the car repair. This is the Democrats' plan for affordability in the state of Virginia. Let that be a warning to you, to all of you. Affordability. They don't give two toots about affordability. Let's go to Mary in Wisconsin. Mary, how are you today?
I'm great, Steve. Love your show. Love the network. I have a thought process. All those protesters that have been in Minneapolis for weeks apparently must not have jobs.
No,
They've
they
now proven that they can be in harsh weather conditions. So how about we retrain them for some of the agricultural jobs, thereby getting rid of some of the illegals that are here?
They can't work that hard, Mary. They can't.
Well,
it would require consistently getting out. Now the guy that was killed, Alex Preddy, he was a nurse at the VA, and I think that's fine. But we've seen a number of films now where he is attacking ICE agents. One where he kicks out the back tail light of their SUV. If I did that, I should be in jail. You're spitting on officers, attacking their vehicle violently, and he came running up the sidewalk screaming obscenities, attacking them. I'm sorry. You have the right to peaceably assemble. That's what this Constitution says. It doesn't say you have the right to attack law enforcement. You have the right to peaceably assemble. Good grief. All right, Roger in Illinois. How are you, Roger? Let's go to it. Roger, how are you? All right. Yes or no, Brock?
I guess he's not there. Let's go move on.
All right. Let's go to Pete in Tennessee. Pete, how are you today?
I'm good. I got a question. If they can ignore federal law on them immigration up there and not go with it, can we down south ignore the federal tax laws and just don't send no federal taxes to D.C.? I'm just trying to be fair about this.
I don't think you'd like the way it works out exactly, but you could. Sure. I appreciate
well, they
you.
get away with it.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. See, Tennessee is the volunteer state. I'm not volunteering to send taxes this year. How about that? We're just not volunteering to do it, right? Good idea, Pete.
Thank you.
Thank you. Back to the state of Maine. Maine is a mess. Maine has as much Somali fraud per capita as Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's a problem. Lewiston, they call it Little Mogadishu. That's how bad it is. Why would you bring in all these people and just concentrate them in one spot? Why not disperse them? Let them become part of the fabric of the United States, but that hasn't happened, is it? You got teachers that are playing translator instead of in giving instruction in the classroom. You wonder why our numbers of reading and writing and math are going down. All right, Chris is in Maine. Chris, how are you?
Good morning, Steve. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. What's on your mind?
I see that they're going to stop enhanced operations for ICE here. I don't understand why, because everybody I come in contact with daily is so much more relaxed. There's so much more elbow room. You know, I don't see where they're getting their polls to do this stuff.
You know, the polling is, well, I can tell you this. I talked to a couple members of Congress yesterday, Republicans, and they said their internal polling shows that this whole ICE operation is not good for Republicans. Democrats want to, see, here's the thing. They create this chaos to distract from the fact that they've stolen billions and billions of dollars, your dollars, my dollars, to give to illegals, or illegals have stolen it and sent it back to Somalia or China or wherever they send the money back to. Happens every day. And they want to distract from that. They want to distract from what just happened in Georgia. They don't want you to understand that 300,000 plus votes in Georgia were probably completely fraudulent, meaning that the Senate seat, maybe both Senate seats, were stolen in Georgia. You know, they don't want you to know that. That's a fact.
Right. I mean, every 2 Fridays, used to go to Walmart, and there'd be 2 school buses full of Mexicans from the tomato plant. You don't see that anymore.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens going forward. Chris, thank you for the call. Let's go to the Steel City, Pittsburgh. Brian checking in. Brian, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Steve?
Good. What's up?
Yeah, Pittsburgh yesterday afternoon, I don't know if you've seen it, where a lady drove off the Parkway East, dropped 30 feet into the Monongahela River, crashed through the ice. First responders 45 minutes later pulled her out, and she's still alive.
45 minutes?
Yes.
Well, why did it take so long?
Because the divers had to
I
figure
gotcha.
out how to get through the ice. It was broken up, but it was already refreezing.
Sure. So she survived.
Yeah, she's in critical condition, but
remarkable. That's
just
quite a story.
amazing how them divers went down to get her.
You know.
20 feet of water.
Wow, that's quite a story. Greatly appreciate you sharing it. Thank you, Brian. That's cool stuff. It's a God moment, is what my wife would tell me. She's not wrong. When we come back, we're going to take more of your phone calls. We're going to talk to my good friend, Brad Hoos. Well, let me check the temperature here, just so I know that I've got it right again today. Let's see. The temperature here at the studio is currently, drum roll please, it's -1. It's warming up around here. It's almost like summer. I need a muskox flannel shirt for sure. Coming up. Basically, the eastern half of the United States has been getting pummeled with winter. Out west, it's been a little bit of a drier, warmer winter. But here, man, it's been cold. Saturday morning at my house, minus 25.4 degrees. I verified that with the weather app. I thought my weather station had lost its mind. It hadn't. Coldest day I've seen in Michigan in a long time. Today it's -1 here as I sit here. Huge snowstorm coming through again. Second one in a week. It's going to pound North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, the whole eastern seaboard. It's going to be winter. What you need is some gear. What you need is a muskox flannel shirt. It's a Detroit company. They've been friends of ours for years here. They've just been named the heavyweight flannel of the year again by Gear Junkie magazine. It is the 4th year in a row. Joining me, Brad Hoos, the creator of muskox. I think it's the best flannel shirt ever created. Smooth as silk, soft as silk, tough as steel. And there's one of my favorites. You're wearing the marine pattern right there. Love that shirt, Brad. Good morning.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, we appreciate it. Good morning to you as well. It's good to see you again.
You're a Detroit company, but you've been battling it out, and your sales are, I mean, you're just killing it. People are finally saying, Gruber's got the muskox, and then they see it. I just did a video on social media. I was out, there was like blizzard conditions here a couple of days ago. We've gotten so much snow, it's off the hook. And so I had to go outside and do something. I said, it's a pretty good idea to show people what it looks like right now. It's the real deal, Brad. These shirts you make, the real deal. They're quality. They're great. Tell the folks about why they are different.
I appreciate it. Yeah. So the short version is, look, our flannels are built with quality and longevity in the mind from the beginning, right? So there's so much fast fashion that you see out here. People want something that's just cheap and you can wear for a couple months. That's not how we do things, right? Other people go fast. We go slow and focus on the long term. The muskox is very heavyweight. You'll see it immediately when you get your hands on it. Read the reviews on our website. They're all real and they're legitimate. You'll get that experience right out of the box. And actually, I think what you'll see is that they continue to wear and get better with time. But simply put, they're a super high quality flannel built the right way. And they're going to make you look better too. Steve, you're a good looking guy. You don't need the help, but hey, all of us will take a little help, right?
Yeah.
So we can give you a little boost too.
Yeah. 2025, the biggest year for muskox, thanks to the Gruber Nation in part. 25% increase in business. Again, selected as the 2026 best overall flannel by Gear Junkie. 4th year in a row, like I said. And something else you do that I tell folks, you've given over $100,000 now to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center. $5 from every shirt sold is donated to wildlife. I think that's just a great cause, Brad. Tell the folks.
Yeah, thank you. No, we think it's really important to put your money where your mouth is, right? And for us, we're named after an amazing animal in the muskox. And so we think wildlife's important. So we don't just take the name and slap it on, but we really want to live it. So we do give a lot back to wildlife. That's something that's important, and the message is resonating with people. Right? I mean, we're this little company that people haven't heard of, and like you said, it's now 4 years in a row we've been named best overall flannel. We've beaten the likes of the Filson or Patagonia or anybody else out there. And we're doing that because we're doing things the right way. And part of that is honoring the muskox by giving back to them and building stuff that's built to last. So yeah, it's a tough market out there in terms of selling clothes. I'm not going to lie, but we're making progress year over year, and growing 25% is something that we're really grateful for. The Gruber Nation support and everyone's support for believing in the little guy here.
I'm a true believer. I am. Look, there's a QR code on your screen for those of you streaming the program right now. If you click on that, you're going to save $15. You can go to Muskox, gomuskox.com, promo code Gruber, gomuskox.com, promo code Gruber. You're going to save $15. Look, it's an investment in your comfort, which is remarkable. So there you go. Brad, always good to see you, my friend. Congratulations on the continued success. And with -1 here today, I can guarantee you, as soon as I leave this desk today, I'm putting the muskox back on. And it's one of the older ones. Like you said, they break in. They get a little softer and better. Every time they go through the rotation, they're good. Brad Hoos, congratulations.
Thank you, Steve. Great to see you as always. And one last little reminder, Valentine's Day is just about 2 weeks away. So if you haven't made that decision on what to do yet, it's free to look at the Muskox website. So you can just take a peek here.
There you go. GoMuskox.com. Trust me, your wife is going to love it right after she steals it from you. That was my experience with the first one. That's why we had to get more. Brad Hoos from Muskox. Always a pleasure.
Thank you,
There
Steve.
you have it. GoMuskox.com. The QR code is right there on your screen. You go ahead and use that. Look at that great-looking shirt right there. I don't have that one yet. I think I should. Anyhow, we got time for a couple more phone calls before we hit the break here. Paul in Tennessee, how are you today?
Good morning, Steve.
How
morning,
are you?
Steve.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm a retired nurse from the VA. And I actually just wanted to discuss the word Nazi for a second.
All right.
Nazi is actually an acronym for Hitler's Radical Socialist Party. And I know the Democrats love to throw it around, but they also call him a fascist. And when you start looking at things, I mean, Karl Marx and Adolf Hitler have very similar philosophies.
Yeah, you can't beat both. We got a little trouble with your phone line there, Paul. I hate to disappoint you. We got a little trouble with the phone line there. I don't know what the giddy up there is, but it's very distracting. So we have to put him back on hold. If you can fix that, great. Brock, Al in North Carolina. We got about 45 seconds, Al. Let's get to it.
Yes, good morning, Steve. Hey, I had a question. Still wondering why Pfizer's still in business. Found out they're expanding theirs. Aren't these the same people that are responsible for our epidemic when we had the pill epidemic, the one with the COVID-19 that's still ongoing?
The biggest
And they had quite a
lobbyists.
poison they've been delivering.
Yeah, the biggest
But yet
lobbyists
we do nothing.
in the world are all from the pharmaceutical industry. Great call, Al. I appreciate it. Yeah, look, so much money. That's why Congress gets corrupt, I believe. Look, we're going to take more of your phone calls after the top of the hour here, 877-310-9966. Follow us on social media. You can follow me on YouTube as well. Become a subscriber. It's a great place to watch the show streaming every day. More calls after this.
Did you know that America
All right, back to it now. We're going to continue to grab phone calls. And again, in the next hour as well, like I said, let's see, Sam, Alabama. Sam, good morning.
Good morning, Steve. Good to talk to you, man.
Good to talk to you. What's
Hey,
up?
I'm calling about the Democrats that are supposed to be in trouble or supposed to be indicted or whatever. But let me say this as slow and as plain as I can say it. No Democrat and no rhino will ever be charged with anything. They're untouchable. There'll be no fines. There'll be no probations. There'll be no jail time. None of that. And anybody that thinks that that's going to happen, they're living in a fantasy world, man.
Yeah, you know what? I can't argue with you on that.
Republicans, they would be. If it was Republicans, Democrats make sure they stay in jail until their court date. Then they can get out of jail to go to court, and that's it.
Maybe.
But Democrats and rhinos, they're untouchable, man.
Sad but true. I mean, we've watched it for too long, Sam. Bill Clinton and Hillary could just not show for a subpoena. Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro go off to prison for that, but other people just untouchables. It's sad, Sam. It is a two-tiered justice system, and I don't say that lightly, but we've watched it for too long. Let's get to Terry in Virginia before we run out of time. Terry, how are you?
Good. How are you, Steve?
I'm good. What's up?
First-time caller. My wife and I watch your show all the time.
Thank you.
They was talking about the taxes in Virginia.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in southwestern Virginia, and the thing that bothers us the most is we always vote, it seems like, for the Republican, but Northern Virginia, it seems, always decides what goes on in Virginia.
And that's true of pretty much every state. There'll be one big blue county that controls the states, but a dog walking tax, a gym tax, a car repair tax, a house repair tax. You must be excited, Terry. They've got 50. They ran on affordability and have 50 new taxes proposed. I mean, come on. That's just who they are.
It makes us sick in southwestern Virginia.
Yeah. Well, I hope you make it through. Thank you for the phone call. Greatly appreciate it. All right. Like I said, we will continue the phone calls for the next 2 hours. It's what we do on Fridays. We mix in some news, some headlines, play some sound, talk about what's going on, and then talk to you. All right? We've got a whole lot of folks still to come, so don't go anywhere. Be sure to follow us on YouTube. There's that QR code. Become a subscriber. I'll be right back.
From the heart of America, where hard work, freedom, and faith still define who we are. From the farms to the factories, from small towns to city streets, this is the fight for the soul of our nation.
We're watching Democrats attack democracy. Do not be fooled.
The strength, the grit, the greatness of the American spirit, all right here.
The left wanted power, not peace, but there's a resistance rising. A generation saying enough, enough. We've tried it their way, and it failed.
The Steve Gruber Show with your host, Steve Gruber, starts right now.
All right, welcome back to it on a Free Speech, Free for All Friday. Glad to have you here as we continue on with the conversation. So much to talk about from the Foxhole of Freedom. Three big things to talk about. Number one, this weather system is locked in. Frigid temperatures, the Great Lakes freezing over. That's right, it's happening. Number two, a police officer clinging to life after a homicide suspect opened fire on her. Alexandra Cano Castro shot after confronting a suspect in Texas. Guess what? Not a legal citizen. I know you're shocked to hear that. And number three, it is Free Speech, Free for All Friday. It is. Glad to have you on board for it because we take your phone calls here. We take it seriously because we like to hear from you. I do. I like to interact with everybody from across the country. And every Friday, we also do the dumbest thing that I've heard all week. And it's a competition, as you can imagine. How about Eric Swalwell? He's running for governor in California. This Nimrod is a member of Congress. How, I have no idea. He says if you're an ICE agent, you'll never be employable in California. Think about this. You work in public service. You're out arresting illegals that have committed crimes in this country. If you do that, you'll never have a job in California. Listen to this idiot.
But I also call on governors, Kate. Governors have immense powers. And I have said that when I'm governor of California, if you wear a mask in California, you're losing your driver's license. If you have worked for ICE in the past, you are unhireable in our state. That law enforcement will prosecute you for kidnapping, battery, assault, murder on the people in our communities. We have to go on offense as governors.
And attack law enforcement. So if you wear a mask in California, can't have a driver's license. Does that go to the Islamic community too, Eric? It's just some of the dumbest stuff you've ever heard. Let's get back to the phone lines and hear some more common sense things. Let's start with Melissa in Wyoming. Melissa, how are you today?
Good morning, Steve. I have a two-part question.
All right.
The first part is, I know we have rights to peacefully protest, but when does it become domestic terrorism? And number two is, why aren't these protesters in Minnesota being treated like the water protectors in Standing Rock with water cannons, flash grenades, and rubber bullets?
Well, we did see the young lady that thought she would grab a flash bang as it flew at her here a couple of days ago, blew her hand up. Brilliant. Don't catch the grenade if it's flying at you, unless it's going to save your platoon of Marines. That's a different story. What was the question? I lost it there, Melissa. What was your first question?
When does peacefully protesting become domestic terrorism?
I think we've seen it. Look, when you cross that line, when you're no longer on the sidewalk, when you come in and get physically engaged with the police officers, that becomes domestic terrorism I mean, that would be my guess. Now, maybe it's just violence. When you resist arrest, I don't know if it becomes domestic terrorism. I'd have to have a lawyer check in on that. I'm not a lawyer. I have too much respect to be a lawyer. Thank you to all my lawyer friends. But look, we've seen it. You know it when you see it. When you see them fighting with the police, when you see them refusing to get out of their car, when you see them, fighting with police as they're trying to resist arrest on the ground. None of that's legal. None of it. There are laws in this country for a reason. But enforcing them now is somehow a political suicide. The Democrats think you should be able to obey the laws you want, ignore the ones you don't have ID to vote, do not comply with lawful police orders, and so on and so forth. Melissa, thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Mike is in New York, upstate New York. How are you?
Hey, Steve, good morning. It's 13 below here.
Is that all?
Yeah. It might have been 15 overnight. I don't know.
Lake Ontario is always the last of the big five to freeze, but with it being 15 below, you'll get some ice on that one this time around, won't you?
Yeah, it's pretty deep out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, but what I wanted to ask you about here is that when our grandparents and our great grandparents came over here, they paid their own way across the ocean, and when they got here, they got jobs and supported themselves, right?
They had to. If you were going to become a public charge, they would take you off the rolls.
You went home. There
That's
was
right.
no way if you couldn't cut it, you went home.
That's right.
Now, what I see now, of course, is that all these people in their tens of millions that we've taken in recently, they're all on the public dole somehow. Somebody paid their transportation across the Pacific, across the Atlantic. When they got here, they were flown around. They were put up in motels.
Oh, they got
were given
cash and
debit cards.
prizes. They got food,
Right,
housing,
they had all this
phones,
money.
transportation, all of it. And then some of them thought that wasn't quite enough, so they went ahead and stole money from the taxpayers by way of grifting.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So in other words, they're all a public burden here.
Correct.
Now, I remember about 6 months ago, I got excited when they said they were going to refuse to pay a $50 million bill for the Roosevelt Hotel in New York City.
Correct.
Right. Now, my cynical nature tells me that I bet that bill was actually paid.
I bet it was, too.
But what I wanted to know from you is that I'm sure it's illegal for Trump to stop all these checks going out, but why can't he just go ahead and do it and let them sue him over it?
That's not a bad idea.
If we could go for 2 months, if we could go for 2 months here with none of these bills being paid at these motels, none of these food bills being paid, none of this, these people would have to come to the surface, take the $2,000 in the plane ticket, and go home.
Mike, good phone call.
Yeah.
Really good stuff. He laid it out well. He ought to be governor of New York. They need one, from what I can tell. Just cut off the money. Sue me. I'm not paying until you sue me in court and I lose. That might take a few weeks. He's got a point there. It's a process. Let's go to Mari in North Carolina. North Carolina bracing for another big snowstorm. Good luck with that.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine. I have two things. First of all, since they could track all the cell phones during the protests in Washington and find people down here in North Carolina, why can't they do the same thing in Minnesota and arrest every one of those AHs and put them in jail with no due process, just like they did all of our American citizens that love this country?
They can track those cell phones. They can figure out everybody that's at these protests. They can figure out who they are. Look, apparently the signal chat has been compromised so badly now that they can go in and they can show everybody exactly who's in there that are coordinating efforts to disrupt law enforcement. Yeah, that's what the FBI should be doing, taking care of these folks. You're exactly right. Thanks for the call, Mari. Greatly appreciate it. I appreciate you being here today as well. Look, we got a couple of guests we're going to get to, but we're going to continue taking your calls throughout the morning as we always do. So 877-310-9966. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube. It's going to pop up right here. It's like magic. Boom. See how that works? Click that QR code. You can become a subscriber. Look, subscribe to all the social media platforms. It helps us out here. Facebook, X, YouTube, Instagram. If you're a subscriber, it helps us to pull this show off every day. I need your help from time to time. There's a little bit for you. Just chip in a little bit. All right? I'll be right back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. We're going to warm you up for some conversation now on a Friday, as it's been chilly across the country, so we'll get into some good conversation. G. Van Fleet is Chinese by birth, American by choice, a survivor of Mao's Cultural Revolution and a defender of liberty. She joins me now. She, how are you today?
Good. Good morning. Yeah.
Good morning. Made in America, the hidden history of how the United States enabled communist China and created our greatest threat. All right, you survived part of Mao's Cultural Revolution, which, by the way, they don't even teach in American schools anymore. The Great Leap Forward is not even discussed, which is remarkable to me. The Great Leap Forward was a death sentence for millions of Chinese citizens. Millions died in 1958, 59, 60, didn't they?
Yes, up to 50 million. And I was born in the midst of the famine, and even though I have no memory, but I heard stories from my parents, and I was so shocked that still today many people never heard about that. Up to 50 million people starved to death.
Right, by design. It was Mao's great plan. And then in 1972, President Richard Nixon flew to China, met with Chairman Mao, and brought China into the world of civilized nations to a point. I think it was a huge mistake. I do.
Absolutely.
I mean, at that very time, there were tens of thousands of Chinese working with the North Vietnamese, killing Americans actively. When the President of the United States went to China, China was actively killing Americans, participating with the Vietnamese, weren't they?
Also, China, never forget that China killed Americans during the Korean War. And
Correct.
at the same time, when Nixon was there, the CCP was killing Chinese inside China. 20 million people died during the Cultural Revolution. And somehow Nixon said, it's okay. We're just going to work with our enemy's enemy, and which is Soviet Union. He had no idea this wisdom won't work when you're dealing with communism. So that's the book is about this. Since Woodrow Wilson, one mistake after another was made towards China. One step, another step, lead the victory of CCP to take over China. And after that, Nixon opened the door and America to bring China into the world order. And that's where we're today. Today, we're facing the most powerful enemy we ever faced, much more powerful than the Soviet Union, because Soviet Union, we know that they were over there. But
It's a small, well, the Soviet Union's a small country, It's 150 million people. China's a billion people. It's not even comparable. And look, yeah, they're friends today until China eats them for lunch. Look, China has territorial disputes with every single one of its neighbors, whether it's Russia, the Philippines, doesn't matter. China thinks they own everything. It's what they believe. Everything under heaven, right, belongs to China. That's what they believe. And that's what they're pursuing.
No, can I correct that? That is not China. And communism. Communist
Fair
China
enough.
is not. And communism is always globalism. It's always. And if you miss that, you miss everything. It's built in it. It's DNA to be globalist, to take over China, the world, to so-called liberate the whole world.
So who's in charge of China today? A lot of purges, counter purges. Is dictator Xi in charge today or not?
Absolutely. He's in charge. He is the second most powerful dictator since Mao. And he purged after purge, just like Mao. And just recently, he purged the highest level of military leader. But just like Mao, Mao did the same thing. Mao purged his own handpicked successor, Lin Biao, who's also in charge of the military.
Here's something else that people don't know. Over the last few years, about 1 million Chinese women have come to the United States and had children. And because of the misrepresentation of the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution, those children are now Americans. Then they go back to China as babies. But when they're 18 years old, more than 1 million Chinese can come back to America as citizens with voting rights, the rights to do anything they want. It's true, isn't it?
Yeah, and bring the whole family with them.
Yeah.
Here is the focus of my book. Yes, that's true. That's also true. Like I was trying to say earlier, that when we were in the Cold War, the first Cold War, and the Soviet Union was over there, but where is CCP? They are everywhere. They're inside the United States. They embedded themselves everywhere. You can't even tell where it started and where it ends. Yes, that is
700,000. Well, here's one example. 700,000 Chinese college students, and I use the word student lightly, 700,000 college students on American campuses today as we sit here. That's just another example, isn't it?
Yes, and we can go on and on, but more than that, and the CCP has an ally here in America. So that's what my book is about. It's not just okay, CCP did this and this and this. The question is how we allow that to happen. And they have a strong ally, and that is the Democratic Party. They share the same ideology. They share the same goal. The goal is to destroy America. So I always believe, like many people do, no one can take down America from outside.
It comes down from inside. Yeah.
It's from the inside. And now we not only have CCP inside, we have CCP working hand in hand with the Democratic Party, which now I call Communist Democratic Party.
You're exactly right. G. Van Fleet, you come back anytime. I feel like we're just getting started. I'd like to talk to you at length. And maybe you should join us on the podcast. We can talk for an hour. Good conversation.
I would love to.
You come back anytime. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. They have an ally, the Democrat Party, globalists, who are getting attacked from every single angle. Well, if you don't believe that, you're not paying attention. Whether it's an open border or the CCP or economic assault, every single angle. I'll be right back. All right, let's just jump right back into the phone calls, shall we? Roger is in Illinois. Roger, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Steve. I'm a first-time caller. Like you, have a lingering cold.
Yeah, I can't shake it, but so it is. Thank you for the consideration. Yeah. Anyhow, what's on your mind?
I'm calling about the filibuster. This is the last chance to end the Senate self-imposed filibuster rule to save America prior to the Democrats doing the same when they're
100%.
able to, as they have stated. But
100%.
Their intention is to use it to destroy America.
That's exactly right.
And the filibuster rule is the last major impediment from President Trump and any president representing the major will of the majority of the American people from implementing their will.
The globalist
and
will.
Original, and I did the research on the filibuster because one of my best friends wrote each and every Republican senator how stupid the filibuster rule is elections
It is.
and how it impedes
No,
lots of
if you're exactly right, Roger. If the Republicans don't do it, the Democrats will do it as soon as they get the opportunity. And it will mean D.C. will be a state, Puerto Rico will be a state. You'll have at least 13 members of the Supreme Court, could be more. They'll make the borders
the original
open.
intention of the filibuster rule was merely to give input to the minority party. It exists to control.
Right, we live in an America today.
Control the legislation.
The radical minority is running the show, and it's a sad thing. Roger, great phone call. You're exactly right. We have to get rid of the filibuster, and these spineless, feckless weasels aren't going to do it, even though they know that their Democrat colleagues will absolutely do it given the opportunity. Roger, great call. Really appreciate it. Free Speech, Free for All Friday will continue in a moment. Gold and silver prices came out a little bit overnight. Silver is still, it went down below 100 briefly. It's about 103, and gold came out still well above $5,000 an ounce. But why is that? Les Rubin is joining me, founder and president of Main Street Economics. Les, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you, Steve. Glad to be here.
Gold and silver are surging. Wish I had a lot more of it. I've got a little bit. but I wish I had a whole pile of it. You know, the price of silver has gone up 260% in a year. $100 would be $360 today. But why is this happening?
Well, I think the market is telling us something. A lot of people have been concerned about what's going on with the financial affairs of the United States. And I think you're seeing a lot of people with a flight to safety. They want hard, tangible assets now. And they're moving slowly away from our debt, which is could be a very serious problem for us.
And here's the thing. I want to give people a sobering statistic here. You hear about $38 trillion of debt, right? That's a fraction of our debt. Our actual debt is somewhere around $162 trillion. When you look at unfunded liabilities like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, everything, you add it all up, you're north of $150 trillion of obligations from our government that has no possible way to ever pay that. What does that mean to us going forward?
Well, we have a giant Ponzi scheme going. Last year, I authored a book with an economist, Dan Mitchell, called The Greatest Ponzi Scheme on Earth. And we talk about that. The debt is just piling up year after year, billions and billions, and there's no one doing anything about it. And that's really a concern that we all should have. In fact, recently I've seen statistics that as much as 80% of the population think we should be dealing with it, but no one is dealing with it. The politicians are focused on getting reelected, which is natural, I guess, but they're not dealing with the problems that we face, and we're getting warnings.
I have said on this program a number of times, people refer to America as the wealthiest country in the world. I think we're the poorest country in the world. We're just living on borrowed time. I mean, if you're $150 trillion in debt, you're not wealthy. You're broke, right or wrong.
Country's insolvent. The only way we can continue to pay our bills and maturing debt is to borrow more money. As long as we can borrow money, we're not bankrupt, but we're still unable to meet our obligations. And we're hearing warnings from that from many different people, the credit rating agencies. The government itself says we're on an unsustainable path. We're seeing more and more warnings, and now I think gold and silver is another warning. The warnings abound, but we do nothing. The American people are complacent. We think everything is just fine because it's always been fine, and that's just not true. We are in trouble. No one wants to recognize it.
Nobody wants to recognize it or deal with it. How far away is the debt crisis? How far away do you think it is before the dollar is just worthless? And what happens then? Because if America's economy crashes, the whole world crashes, doesn't it?
Yeah, as one of my associates says, only God knows the answer to that question, and God's not talking. We don't know how long it's going to be. It's when people lose confidence in the dollar and stop buying our debt, then we are toast. We're done at that point. There's no good answer. If we can't sell our debt, then there's no way to pay our bills. So you end up either defaulting or printing money, both of which are terrible economically. And if we catch a cold, the whole world gets sick. We're that big a part of the worldwide economy. So it'll be a very frightening situation if we ever get to that point.
Well, how are we not at that point? I mean, honestly, Les, how are we not at that point? I've seen gold go up. What's that?
We can still sell debt. And if we get to the point and the only buyer is the Treasury or the Federal Reserve, then we're done. All that does is lead to hyperinflation. So
let's go back to 1973, August the 15th, when Nixon took us off the gold standard. Was that a disaster?
It was ill-advised, and we now have just a pure fiat money. I mean,
right. It doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything other than what people will believe in it. And so far, we're still the world's reserve currency, but that's slipping. the international situation is pretty bleak as well. It seems like all of the industrialized countries are living beyond their means. They're all way out over their skis, and it's going to crash if we don't fix it. Uh, it hasn't yet, uh, but it will eventually. No one knows when that's going to be. It's when people lose confidence and won't buy our debt. Then we're done.
Yeah. How far away do you think we are? I mean, it's a sobering conversation, but we might as well have it. I thought that $24 trillion of national debt in that column was the point of no return. Maybe I was right. We're not going
Well,
ever
we're
to
at
turn it back.
our debt is 125% of our economy. Debt to GDP ratio is way over what it should be. The only other time it exceeded that in recent memory was after World War II, but that was followed by 2 decades of fiscal prudence, no deficits, and the smaller government and the economy grew at a compounded rate of 6%. But we're not facing that now. We're facing multi-trillion-dollar deficits forever, and that's why I'm alarmed. That's why I started Main Street Economics, to start warning people and to get the politicians to wake up before it's too late. It will be too late someday. I don't know when that day will be. No one knows.
10 years, 100 years? Does it last that long? I mean, a
My
debt
my
crisis.
best guess, my
What?
best guess would be 10 years or less. I don't think we have more than 10 years. In 10 years, our interest bearing debt will reach $70 trillion more or less, and our unfunded obligations are over $100 trillion, as you said earlier. The numbers are astounding. Civilizations die when you get to a certain point, and historically, every civilization has met its match sooner or later, and I'm trying to avoid that with our country. And the only way I think we do that is to educate the American public about how serious the problem is and get them to urge our representatives to fix it. And I'm working with four of the people to do that.
Yeah. Les, you come back anytime because this conversation, it's a cold slap of reality, but it's one I've talked about here for a long time. You can't continue to borrow and spend and borrow and spend. And I don't know when America changed its attitude about such things, but we sure did screw it up. Les Rubin, thank you for being here. Main Street Economics.
Well, thank you for having me.
Greatly appreciate it. Sorry to be a downer on a Friday, but there it is. I'll be right back. 9 dead cats.
Seriously?
Just in the garage. All right, back to it now. Free speech, free for all Friday, powered by the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline. PatriotMobile.com. Promo code Gruber. You'll get a free month of service. Great company. We've been using them for years now. They are wonderful. Really happy with them. American company. All right, so let's go back to the phone lines. Bill has been on the line in Ohio, patient, as is everybody else. Bill, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Steve, and thank you for having me.
What's on your mind?
Well, Steve, I just want to tell you to thank you for being you, and I watch you all the time when I can. Then I heard you talking to the last gentleman about the money situation our country is in, too.
Yeah, terrible.
Can you hear
huh?
me, Steve?
I can hear you just fine. Go ahead.
Okay, I can barely hear you, but I'll go ahead. I think we can solve our money issue real quick, within a month. We can have it all paid off, Stephen. To do this, we simply print two types of money. We can let our dollar go down, make it worthless. It's almost there now. And we print another money that you can only spend in the United States. We pay off all our debts with the worthless money. This is legal. This is the way you do it. Simple as that. What have you to say?
How is that legal? You pay off our useless debts to our creditors like Japan, Germany, whoever else, China, I suppose, owns some debt that way?
Yes. You can do it that way. Or we have two different types of money now. One, you can just spend in the United States. If you wish to pay off a certain country, you can pay them off in the new money. Any old money, such as China, who owes us God knows how much money, we'll pay them off in the old money. And I see nothing wrong with it. It's been done before.
Well, at some point there has to be a reset. There's no question about that. The question is, at what cost?
You're absolutely right, Steve. If there isn't a reset, this country will not be here too much longer, at least the way it is.
You're right.
It'll still be here.
It will not exist.
The martial law will be coming up soon, probably anyhow.
Yeah. Bill, thank you for the uplifting message. I appreciate you. I do. It's look, Les Rubin was right. Bill, you're right. Let's see what Jennifer has to say about it in Michigan. Jennifer, good morning.
Well, hi. How are you?
Lovely. How are you?
Well, freezing to death. Listen, the federal government needs to withdraw all financial aid that Minnesota receives. Not one dime of taxpayer money goes to Minnesota. Also, take any monies that Tim Walz has got, freeze it. Do not let him have access to it. The weak-kneed and cowardly Republicans need to have a backbone and stand up for the right thing. This stuff is going to continue as long as they pussyfoot around and they keep giving in to these people. We've had too many young men and husbands die for this country to honor the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the rule of law. It should not be tolerated. I don't care. I could be dumb as a rock. I'm 94, but that's the way I see it. I'm tired of these crooked politicians dictating to the majority of the American people and getting away with murder and more. The other thing is, I don't think any of the politicians that get into politics should be able to come out of it with $40 million.
I agree with that. Yeah. By the way, Jennifer, I don't think you're dumb as a rock.
Should put any money that they have before they take office
into a blind
into
trust.
a trust fund or whatever.
Yeah. Blind trust. You
but
got
they
it.
should not come out of there as millionaires and billionaires. You know doggone well they're screwing us over, Steve.
Yep.
And I'm tired of it. I worked my whole life. I'm 94. I'll have nothing. I'm being taxed out of my house. The utility companies are just raking in money by doing rotten things to the people. Who can afford $400 and $500 gas and light bills?
Nobody.
These companies are running rampant.
Yep. Jennifer, I appreciate the call. Good rant. As always, Jennifer gets it done. We got time for a couple of more here. Barb in Ohio, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing well, Steve. Thank you. How are you?
I'm lovely. What's on your mind?
Well, first thing I got to tell you, I rank you right up there with Rush.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I
And the
appreciate
other
that.
thing is, I've heard hosts, on RAV, be supportive of assimilation. And I'm just highly disappointed that RAV is broadcasting in Spanish.
Well, in fairness, our Hispanic friends are conservative voters. And so the RAV Spanish channel, 75% of the Hispanic people asked in a Rasmussen poll this week support the deportation efforts in Minnesota as an example. 3/4. Remember, Hispanics are 20% of the voting population now. So don't dismiss our friends that are Spanish and Catholic and believe in America and hard work. So keep that in mind, all right? Is that fair?
Yeah, I sure will. But anyway, thank you so much for taking my call.
Thank you, Barb. Greatly appreciate you. George, real quick, South Carolina, what's on your mind?
Hey, Steve, I can't understand why we went to war in World War II and defended all these countries from going communist and socialist. And here, they're taking over our country. And why can't we go out and arrest Madami, this woman in Virginia, and Tim Waltz and these people, and put them in jail for treason?
Well, because it's a very narrow definition in this book. This document we call the Constitution, it's a very narrow definition. It might be treason in your mind, and it probably is, just not legally. George, thank you for the call. Thank you for all your calls. I'll have sports with Brock after this. All right, time for sports with Brock.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. World number one Carlos Alcaraz advanced to the Australian Open Finals with a 5-set victory over third-seeded Alexander Zverev early this morning in Melbourne. At 5 hours, 27 minutes, it's the longest semifinal in Australian Open history. Alcaraz will face either Jannik Sinner or Novak Djokovic in Sunday's championship match. 8 games in the NBA last night. Winners included Philadelphia, Washington, Houston, and Denver. In men's basketball, 8th-ranked Iowa State and 9th-ranked Illinois both won. In women's basketball, number 4 Texas, number 6 LSU, and number 7 Louisville all won. 15 games in the NHL last night. Winners included Boston, Buffalo, Dallas, and Seattle. And in golf, Justin Rose shot a 10-under par 62 to take the first-round lead at the PGA Tour's Farmers Insurance Open in La Jolla, California. He's one shot ahead of Justin Lower. Round 2 is today. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Brock. You know, this cold, it just never leaves. Sorry. Sneezing fit in the break, always a pleasant thing when you're trying to do live broadcast, sneezing
Steve, if you got to sneeze, if you have to blow your nose, just go ahead and do it and just tell people, hey, I have a cold. I'm human just like you. Not any better or worse.
You blast out a snot rocket on camera.
What other bodily functions are allowed on camera?
Yeah. See, I opened that can of worms.
Well,
That's
you
my
did.
fault there.
Yeah. No, I'm just getting beat up by this. You know, I know a lot of people have been sick, but good Lord, would it stop, please? I've got work to do. I don't have time for these delays.
It's going to warm up into the 20s here in Michigan next week.
Ooh. Then I won't even be here. So, yeah. So I had to go get a new, fresh thing of tissues during the break. Thank you for that. Anyhow, let's see. We'll continue taking your phone calls the next hour. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube. Follow us on social media. Our social media is exploding, folks. It's great. Facebook's doing great. X is doing great. Instagram's killing it. You can be part of all these conversations. I put up videos there, 2 or 3 a week, not too many, but they seem to do pretty well. I pick timely topics and talk about them beyond the program here. Plus, the brand new podcast is going to launch soon, Forgotten America. We'll give you a schedule on that. We've got a couple ready now, and we're putting guests together, and that's going to launch soon, too. More Gruber. That's what Anthony wants. That's what Brock wants. That's what everybody wants. Plus, Ivy's there. Back after this. I'll do that.
From the heart of America, where hard work, freedom,
So 1, 2,
and
3,
faith
4,
still
5.
define who we are. From the farms to the factories, from small towns to city streets, this is the fight for the soul of our nation.
We're watching Democrats attack democracy. Do not be fooled.
The strength, the grit, the greatness of the American spirit, all right here.
The left wanted power, not peace, but there's a resistance rising. A generation saying enough, enough. We've tried it their way, and it failed.
The Steve Gruber Show with your host, Steve Gruber, starts right now.
All right, welcome to it as we are putting together the finishing touches on a week, right? Fighting for you from the Foxhole of Freedom, which we do every single day here. All this doom and gloom, though, from the debt to the dollar. Golly. That's a lot to deal with, isn't it? But the truth is the truth. We tell you the truth. You don't have to like it, but I tell you the truth, all right? Glad to have you here. All right, so every week on Fridays, we go through the dumbest, worst, best things we've heard all week. And if you didn't hear this before, I want you to hear this. In Virginia, the Democrats just swept the governor's house. What do they call it? The House of whatever they call it. Delegates, I guess. And the Senate. They don't call it the House of Representatives. The House of Delegates, the Senate, and the governor's office. And they got supermajorities everywhere. Because the Democrats said, we're going to make your life more affordable. We're going to run on affordability. And, well, let's just say they didn't have it. By the way, you can chime in with a phone call today, 877-310-9966. The Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline open all day, every Friday. In the spirit of Rush Limbaugh's Open Line Fridays, that's why we do it. Usually they're just packed in for that first hour or two, and then by this time of the day, you can usually get through. People get off to work, because we actually have jobs and have things to do. We can't go be professional protesters and tackle police in the streets. Just not who we are. Anyhow, in Virginia, they ran on affordability. Right? We're going to lower the price of everything. And instead, less than 30 days into the administration of Abigail Spanberger, the new governor, there are more than 50 new tax proposals. 50. I mean, they'll tax everything. They're going to tax the air you breathe. You think I'm joking? Listen to this list of new taxes being proposed and likely to be signed by Abigail Spanberger in the state of Virginia in the first 30 days. Here's just a partial list.
Here's a list of the many tax increases and proposals Democrats in Virginia are considering passing. They include additional local sales tax in all Virginia counties and cities, new personal property tax on electric leaf blowers and electric landscaping equipment, large employer tax, gun and ammunition tax, new income tax brackets, a delivery tax. This would hit you if you make an order on Amazon, Uber Eats, or an order that includes UPS, FedEx delivery, etc. here in Northern Virginia. There's also a tax they're looking at for events, concerts, an investment income tax, storage facility tax, gym membership tax, dog walking tax, dog grooming tax, counseling tax, digital personal property tax, new car taxes and highway use fees, an increase in the hotel tax here in Arlington, statewide speed cameras. Now, these aren't taxes, but they would include more fines for some drivers, dry cleaning tax, home repair tax, and a vehicle repair tax.
Good Lord. And he goes on for a couple more minutes, does that local reporter there in Virginia. In Virginia, they're just getting pounded. We got 3 callers there. Is that correct?
We got a couple of callers.
All right. So I want to start with Mike in Virginia. I mean, we're just talking about Virginia. I got a caller from Virginia. We just went through the laundry list of 50 new dog walking tax, dog grooming tax, car repair tax, house repair tax. Good Lord, Mike. Affordability is right out the window in Virginia. Welcome to the program. What else is on your mind?
Good morning, Steve. Thanks for taking my call. Yes, we have a governor called Awful Gail Spanberger. Awful Gail.
Yeah.
She's terrible.
I've never seen, look, a dog walking tax. The only way that would make sense to me is if that's on like one of these dog walking apps people get, a car repair tax. Okay, so you're struggling to pay your bills. your car breaks down, and then they want to slap a tax on top of whatever the repair bill is. You got a house, you got a roof leak, you got a problem with your house. They want to slap a tax on top of whatever bill it is to fix your house. These people are nuts. What happened to affordability, Mike?
It's out the window. But she signed us up for the regional greenhouse gas initiative, which makes everybody's electric bill shoot skyward, just like that 94-year-old that said she was going to lose her house because of her electric bill wherever she was from.
You know, Mike, I'm glad you mentioned that because I just saw a little clip on social media from a young woman who said her electricity bill in Virginia just jumped to $601. She says it's more than her car payment. Her electric bill went from $300 here not long ago to $601. I mean, it's doubled. They're going to destroy you folks.
That seems to be the plan, yes. They're going to run us out and make us all migrate, economic migrants.
Yeah. Tennessee's nice. Anyhow, what did you call about? I didn't mean to get all off on the tangent. What was on your mind?
No, I just wanted to bring up the very point that I know she's going to veto some of these things just so she can say she's a moderate, for her future political aims. But it's just crazy what's being proposed and this Reggie thing. I mean, why are we signing up for a Green New Deal scam that just drives up our prices unnecessarily when we have an energy shortage already with all these data centers here in Virginia, and we need more generation of energy any way we can get it.
Yeah, buy silver, buy copper. They're all really necessary for these things. Mike, I wish you well, my friend. Good luck out there. And could you work a little bit longer this week? Because there's a lot of bills to be paid and a lot of people depending on you going to work so you can foot the bill so they can stay home. Let's see here. Josh is in the state of Minnesota, another place having its own share of problems. Josh, how are you today?
Morning, Steve. How you doing this morning?
I'm lovely. It's 1 degree now. It's warmed up around here.
Yeah, it's 4 below here in Minnesota. Man. Well, first off, I hope you had a good deer season. I watch you just about every morning. I drive truck and listen to you as I'm making my deliveries. I don't know what's going on in the state here in Minnesota, but something needs to be done. I really, really hope that, President Trump, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel really dig in hard on all this fraud, because it seems like it's getting, like always, just kind of shoved under the rug, and now we have all this protesting going on, and that's taking center stage. I mean, you watch any news outlet here in the state of Minnesota, and they make these people out to be the good guys and the brave men and women of Border Patrol and the police departments, the villains. It's just, common sense isn't as common as it used to be.
No, it's
anymore.
not. I'm not happy about the people getting killed in Minnesota. But Alex Preddy, let's be honest about this.
No, that's
he was
tragic.
a serial criminal.
That is tragic and sad.
But Alex Preddy inserted himself. There's all sorts of videos of him now interacting with, kicking out the taillight of an SUV. Guy was a serial criminal. I'm sorry, but that's the fact. The video evidence is indisputable. He didn't deserve to die, but he deserved to be in jail. And if they had put him in jail the first time he kicked out the taillight, he'd be alive today. That's the strange paradox here. Anyhow, more calls to come on this Free Speech, Free for All Friday. I'll be right back. All right, we're going to dive right back into it with my good friend Steve Doolin, the best-looking, most accomplished, most talented attorney in the history of attorneys. There he is, folks. It's Doolin on a Friday.
You crack me up every Friday, Gruber. Thanks.
It's my job. Look, but I'm not going to kid you. Ivy sees this every week. By Thursday night, dude, I am draining. I mean, there's so much going on, and we work so hard here. By Thursday night, I'm like a fighter jet with one engine blowing. I'm coming into the curve, right? I just want to bring her in safe. So Fridays, I'm pretty tweaked out by Fridays, and you get the best of it, Doolin. Congratulations. All right, so here's the thing about this week. A lot of discussion about Alex Preddy. Look, did he deserve to die? No, probably not. Was he disarmed at the time that he died? It appears that way. Were mistakes made? Yes. Was it technically a good shoot? Probably. But it was created by a couple of things. Look, we wouldn't be here if we didn't have an open border for 4 years. We wouldn't be here if the governor of Minnesota, who, by the way, is lying about this, Wall says, well, we're cooperating with ICE. We're turning the people over. No, the only people they're turning over to ICE or immigration enforcement are the people that are in prison. But the people in the local jails, which is about 1,600, they refuse to turn over, and they're returning them back to the communities. First of all, that's terrible policy. The people in Minneapolis don't want to live next to gangbangers and rapists and child sodomizers, and yet they turn them out, and then they create this chaos, and then they bitch about how the chaos is contained and taken care of, which, look, it's not easy. And when you grab a cop, push a cop, kick the taillight out of an SUV, which this Preddy character, look, he was a serial criminal. He attacked the police on a regular basis. It was what he did. He got shot. Did he deserve to die? I say again, no, he didn't. But you put yourself in that situation. I'm not going to get shot today, Doolin. You know why? I'm not going to go fist fight a cop or spit at him or give him the finger or anything else. I hope I don't have to deal with a cop today because I won't put myself in that situation. Is there no personal accountability and responsibility left in America?
Well, there is, but sometimes it gets in the way of the propaganda.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, we've got a situation where every time there's a police shooting, there are questions. And, you know, legally, it's a pretty narrow question. I won't say it's easy, but it is easy to understand. The question is whether at the moment the officer squeezed the trigger, he or she had an honest and reasonable belief that that shooting was necessary to prevent death, great bodily harm, or forcible rape. That's it. And that's often a question for a jury to decide. Sometimes it's a question for prosecutors to decide because it's so clear that they don't bring charges and it never gets to a jury, right?
Right.
But that's it. As far as the shooting goes, that happens in a very brief moment, the entire shooting usually. And so, you know, all the other stuff, I think, is relevant so that we don't end up with a beatification or raising to sainthood of a victim who wasn't, because that's part of the propaganda, right? Is we had Elizabeth Warren and some others step out and start talking about how this is a nurse and this is a wonderful person. Well, let's look realistically at everybody, dead or alive, and everybody involved.
You know what? This is a great point you're making because it's a point that I've made. Because too often, people on the right, the conservative folks, will paint all police officers as heroes. Anybody that's ever served in the military a hero. It's just not true. You served in the military. Were they all heroes?
No.
No. Are all police officers heroes? No.
Yeah.
Are all nurses heroes? No. People are flawed. Since the Garden of Eden, people are flawed. That's a fact. And, you know, just because you have a certain job doesn't, by extension, make you a hero, right?
Right. And so what we end up with is some of this might be also relevant, not just to the sort of idea war, the propaganda, or to push back against propaganda with truth, but also some of it might be relevant to that question of whether the officer's belief was honest and reasonable at the moment the trigger was pulled, because the standard is to bring in anything, the totality of the circumstances is one phrase that's used, but bring in anything that's relevant to that officer's decision at that moment. And so, there are many things that become brought in, and there's always objections raised, and judges have to make decisions about which evidence is relevant. So some of what we're talking about is relevant to that narrow question, and some of what we're talking about is literally just trying to make sure people don't get away with lies that further inflame the folks who are
This is what they're doing.
problems.
Let me ask you a question. You've seen the video of Alex Preddy kicking out the taillight of the SUV,
Sure.
right? You've seen that.
Yeah.
And as he turns back, at one point, you can see a gun sticking out of his waistband in the back, right? Same as it was apparently the day that he died. When it just a technical legal question. At the moment that he spit on the officer and kicked the taillight, first time doesn't break it, kicks it again, second time, he's attacking the vehicle.
Right.
At that point, is he legally carrying that gun anymore, or is he committing a crime and technically he's not even a legal carry at that point?
Well, there's two separate issues in my mind, right? And I would probably argue it as separate issues. One is, does he have a Second Amendment right? Absolutely, right? He's got a right to carry a gun as an American citizen,
of course,
to protect himself and others. Certainly. Does he have the right to kick out that taillight? No. So that's a criminal act. He's committed a misdemeanor. Is he legally carrying at that time? That depends on the technicalities of the Minnesota statutes more than anything else.
Gotcha.
In Michigan, we have a sentence enhancer called felony firearms, and it enhances a sentence by up to 2 years in prison for any felony committed while armed, whether it was started off as legally armed or not, right?
Correct.
So assuming there's something similar in Minnesota law that applies to misdemeanors, maybe some kind of a sentence enhancer in there. But it really is two separate issues in my mind.
I got to leave it here, but Preddy is a rare exception to the rule. The rule being those that have concealed carry permits are the most law-abiding citizens in this country by statistic. He violated that. Doolin, I got to run. Best-looking lawyer, most accomplished, best-spoken, just a hell of a guy. Doolin, thanks.
Thanks, Gruber. I'm glad Mom's checks are still clearing.
All right, let's get back to the phone calls. By the way, you can check in anytime on Fridays, 877-310-9966. That is the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline. If you go to patriotmobile.com, use the promo code Gruber, and switch today. It's real easy to do. You'll get a free month of service. Carl is in Michigan on that Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline. Carl, good morning.
That's me.
How are you?
I'm cold in this mitten state. Whatever you call zero, we got some degrees finally.
Yeah.
Above nothing. I'm just calling it. The Democratic. Gosh, how dumb can they be? I guess add confusion is go to a police investigation and goofers come hang around blowing whistles and just making noise. It's like, what? I guess bring out the water cannons, but have salt ready so nobody falls on their butt and gets lawsuits like that, But I'm just what on one wisdom from my machine shop good deal from in the 80s was this guy had a SU avocation Greek saying, and that's without confusion. My pronunciation never really has been defined by anybody knowing Greek very well, but it's just unite America again, and we can get the truth out of who's adding to the deficit that just is crazier than nuts.
Yeah.
You know, I heard of the paying the interest on the debt years ago. What does paying the interest on the deficit do for anything of progress?
Yeah.
That's enough out of me.
That's good stuff, Carl. Thank you for being here. Tony, sit tight. I'll get to you at the top of the next segment. It's only about 30 seconds before I hit the break, so I'll give you your time here in just a moment. I appreciate all of your support here. I do. It takes a lot to get this done. Support the people that support this program, like PuroVet. PuroVet is the program from PuroClean that helps out veterans in this country to get to the front of the line and get a franchise so they can set themselves up in business. PuroVet program empowering veterans through a franchise ownership in a $210 billion industry. If you're a veteran or know somebody who is, this is a chance to get to the front of the line. Waive those franchise fees. Have a business of your own. 855-PuroVet to find out more, and purovet.com. Check it out. And thank you for serving. I'll be right back. All right, let me jump back on the phone lines here. I want to make sure that we get the folks in before we get to my next guest here. I'm going to Tony in North Carolina on the Common Sense Hotline. Tony, good morning. What's on your mind?
Good morning, Steve. Thank you for taking my call, buddy.
Yeah, what do you got?
I just wondering, Steve, all that mess is going on in Minnesota. Is any way we could get a class action lawsuit. I mean, I want my money back from those creeps up there, and I know I'm probably never going to get it, but I don't care if we could get a class action lawsuit going against them. What do you think?
We've got to use the courts to our advantage. I agree with that, but it's not just Minnesota. It's happening in most of the states, worse in places like Minnesota, California, Illinois, New York. We have got to, as they say, claw the money back if you can. The problem with a lot of the money in Minnesota, it was flown out of this country and back to Somalia. There was a pipeline between Columbus, Ohio, and Minneapolis, moving that money, as you know, out of this country and back to Somalia. But I agree with you, Tony. We want our money back. Thank you for the call. It's a good one. Respect the taxpayer, would you please? All right. What about term limits? It's an idea that I was never warm to before, but I have gotten warm to it as of more recently. Scott Tillman is the Chief Operations Officer at U.S. Term Limits, also a Michigan resident. Scott, welcome back to the program.
Good morning, Steve. Thank you for having me.
You're getting me there. You're getting me there. For a long time, I felt like elections were term limits. But when you see out of Virginia here a few weeks ago, I learned that the guess on how much money is going to be spent on Michigan's midterm elections was $1 billion. $1 billion just for Michigan. Because you have an open governor's race, an open Senate seat, and everything else. I mean, there's an obscene amount of money there. So once you're in office, and if you're in a close race, man, the money just flows in. The reelection rate for U.S. senators is 90% or just over because they have money. Term
Sometimes
limits.
the Senate reelection rate is like 100%.
Say that again?
Sometimes the reelection rate on senators is 100%. It's a scary thing that
Right.
they've got that much of a lockdown in the system.
Yeah, over time, though, historically speaking, it's 90% or above. You're right. There are some cycles when they all get reelected, even if they're lousy. I mean, anyhow. So what's your proposal? You've got a new poll here. It says 79% of Michigan voters support term limits on Congress. How do you ever get there?
So Congress is not going to do it themselves without pressure.
Obviously.
So in the 90s, a lot of states, Michigan included, passed term limits on their own congressional delegation. Then that was overturned by the Supreme Court in 1995, U.S. term limits versus Thornton decision. And after that, it kind of took the wind out of the sails of the term limits movement. But since then, we have figured out there's another way to amend the Constitution, which has actually led to quite a few amendments that we have. And that's in Article 5 of the Constitution, it gives you two routes. One is state legislatures can propose resolutions, send them to Congress, and when it gets to 34, Congress has to call a convention, and then they have no choice. They have to do it. The other way is for 2/3 of Congress to refer something out. Well, we've never gone the route of a convention because Congress doesn't like to give up the control and the authority to the states. So what they do is when it starts getting close to that number, they jump in front, and all of a sudden the light from heaven shines down, and they say, what a wonderful idea. Direct election of senators.
Yeah, the angels sing, the trumpets
term
play, they come down from on high. Right, yeah.
They see the light. And so we need to bring the pressure so they see the light. So we've been passing resolutions, Article 5 resolutions for congressional term limits, state by state.
Yeah.
First one in Florida in like 2015. And then we had a number of years where it was a year or two between them while we've kind of figured out how the best way to go about getting these passed was. And then in the last 2 years, we've passed 6, so that gives us up to 12. And this year we've got 3 that have already had committee hearings this week, Arizona, Utah, and Kansas. And there's a lot of momentum on it. So, we can get Michigan on board, we can do other things, but bringing these states, when we get to about 28, 30 states, Congress is going to say, now, do we want a bunch of state legislators who all want to be here in Congress to say, we're going to make these term limits very short and retroactive and you all are leaving next year? Or do we maybe want to jump in front of it and say, we'll grandfather ourselves and then we'll give everybody what they want with term limits and send something out? And we know that they're going to send something out. It's going to be self-interested, but it will get us term limits. And that's the way to do it. You got to bring that leverage.
So you anticipate that?
We anticipate them doing that, yeah.
Yeah.
But you got to bring that leverage first.
I was two things. First of all, I was never a fan of term limits, and I'm getting there. And in fact, I'd probably support it at this point because of just the gross abuse of power and money. The other thing is a convention of states I was not a fan of for a variety of reasons, but I am now. I've gotten there for a convention of states. I think maybe it's a pretty good idea because we need term limits is just one problem, right? The spending, the abuse of the taxpayer, whether it's by fraud in Minnesota, but just by the politicians themselves. Oh, we'll pay for this, we'll pay for that. There's no oversight. Where'd that money go? Who knows? Enough of that, right? Enough.
Absolutely. And one problem we really have is that when you don't have term limits, there's no incentive to actually go out and solve these problems. Because if you're a Republican, you can run calling the Democrats the devils on, the immigration issue, the spending issue, the government handouts issue. And if you're a Democrat, you can call the Republicans the devil on the immigration issue, the healthcare issue, the border issue, whatever other issue out there. But if you solve those problems, if you got a group of 100 Americans together and said, okay, we need some national solution that's going to be palatable to everybody, you would find some solution on immigration, abortion, healthcare that the most of the people could stomach and would be, okay with. But Congress, they don't want to come to that because now you can't send out fundraising letters that say, send me money, or those evil people on the other side are going to keep doing this awful thing that you don't like. If we solve that, I can't send out those letters on that issue now, and I've got, nothing to run on anymore. When you have term limits, then they've got a fixed amount of time, 6 years, 12 years. You're going to go in there and you're going to go home after that, and you're going to say to your friends, family, people you meet on the street, oh, you were a congressman. What did you accomplish? Well, I sent out a lot of fundraisers, made a lot of money, and we didn't really accomplish anything. Or, hey, we actually got this healthcare plan passed. We did this immigration reform. We did this other thing. You have an incentive to actually come up with something because your time frame is limited. You can't say, we're going to eventually get to it. We're going to eventually get to it. Meanwhile, I'm living high on the hog, enjoying all the gravy, and we're eventually going to get to it. And that's the situation we're in now. They don't have any incentive to solve the problems.
No, they don't. Scott, how can people find your organization, U.S. Term Limits, so if they're interested in finding out more or supporting what you do, where do they
go? If you put it in Google, you're going to find us, termlimits.com, but then we're also on Twitter and or X and social media and Instagram and all the different Facebook social media pages. We probably have a page dedicated to your state on Facebook.
Yeah. Well, keep fighting the good fight, my friend. I think you've converted me. Scott, I think you got me. I think you finally got me. Took a while, but that's okay. It's a conversation. It's what America's about. Scott Tillman, U.S. Term Limits, look them up online. If you like their plan, by gosh, help them out. That's what I suggest. When I come back, I'm going to help myself out by bringing in the best guest of the week. Nothing wrong with Scott, don't get me wrong. But Ivy's Ivy, and, well, that's the way that is. All right, don't forget to follow us on all those social media platforms. Become a subscriber on Facebook, X, YouTube, a great place to watch the live feed every day. Great conversation going in there in the chat room and YouTube every day as well. Support what we do here. I'll be right back. All right, back to it now. We're going to grab a quick phone call here as we continue Free Speech, Free for All Friday, of course. And who do we got? John in Michigan, is that right?
Go ahead. Yep.
How are
Hey,
you?
Steve. How are you doing today?
Good. Real quick, what's on your mind?
Okay. You're not old enough to remember, but I remember when Eisenhower used troops to get the black students into the University of Alabama over George Wallace's objection and the state's objections.
Yep.
I remember when I was in Europe at the time. I was in Berlin in 66 and 67, but I remember when the riots went off in Detroit and the 101st came in.
Yep.
And it didn't take them long to stop it. And we've had and that was a Democrat president.
Yeah, it
We've
was,
had
but
other
today
presidents
doing
use
that,
the troops
here's
for
my
this, and I think
concern,
we
John.
that's what we need to do in Minnesota right now.
Well, the
Bring
problem with
troops
that,
up
John,
there.
it's a political hand grenade. It's a political hand grenade. All the networks are against it. The polling is bad already. And as much as I agree with you, and I do, it's a political hand grenade that will just destroy the Republicans in the midterms. That would be the end of Donald Trump's term as president. So unless the Republicans win in the midterms, don't expect that to happen. I appreciate your call. I agree with you. But it's not going to happen. It's just not. So there it is. Ivy joining me now. Ivy, good morning. Glad to have you.
Good morning.
You know, I agree with him. I agree with John.
Yeah.
You can control this thing immediately. But the problem is...
the entire mainstream media, with an exception of Fox News, is in the corner for
100%.
the liberals, and they
For
are
the
creating
criminals.
the narrative.
Yeah.
You can't win.
No, you
and
can't.
that's what's really sad about the situation.
It is. I talked to two members of Congress yesterday, both Republicans, both friends of mine.
Uh-huh.
And they said their internal polling is showing that this is very bad for Republicans, this whole ICE thing, because the way it's been painted. Oh,
Right.
he's a hero nurse. No, he was a serial criminal. Did he deserve to die? No, he did not.
I'll remember my dumbest thing I heard all week yesterday, which is Anna Navarro saying that he's the perfect guy, that this is the guy you'd want, your daughter
to marry. No, he's absolutely not.
So some breaking news.
All right.
CNN host Don Lemon is arrested.
What?
For the invasion. It's just coming out. Now, I went through 4 different news articles, okay? And how do you think this was portrayed based on which article I read?
He's a victim.
Right. So he was arrested yesterday at the Grammys. He was covering it. His attorney says this unprecedented attack on the First Amendment and transparent attempt to distract attention from the many crises facing his administration will not stand. This is his attorney. But anyhow, of course, we know that Don Lemon was covering and not necessarily participating, but was present when the protesters entered that Sunday worship at City's Church.
Yep.
And it has been reported that he was actually speaking to the group beforehand that went in to protest, and he knew they were going in, and he is trying to say, well, I was acting as a journalist reporting what was going on, but he actually had talked to them before, and knowing that they were going to go in and do something that is illegal.
It's funny, as we've spoken to some people here, and they said, they went after this church because they thought they would be passive, and they were. I saw black pastors say, try that at our church.
Yeah.
Don't even pull that stunt.
Right.
You wouldn't even get past the aunties in the front row. They'd beat you with their purses.
Well, not only that, but the fine folks that are probably carrying weapons would ask for you to kindly leave.
Right.
So it is not immediately clear what the charges that he's facing, but he has been accused of violating the Enforcement Act of 1871, which bans interference with certain civil rights such as voting, serving on juries, or in this case, the right to practice one's religion.
Correct.
Peacefully, right? So that was as a journalist, you should know better. But there you go.
There you
what
go.
Are your
Well,
thoughts
he
on
would.
that?
Yeah, I don't know how many people saw him. He was basically right in the face of the pastor.
Yeah,
Who
asking
the
him
pastor
questions.
the pastor put his hand out and said, "Hey, Don Lemon, don't touch me. He's just an agitator.
Mm-hmm.
He's an aggrieved, angry guy who hates white people, even though he's married to a white guy. Go figure. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He He is what's wrong with media today. I'm surprised CNN didn't give him a promotion and a raise for his behavior.
Well, he's just no longer working with CNN.
I know that. He's a disgraced former Chicken Noodle News guy. Anyhow.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know that. Good stuff. Ivy brings me the breaking news. Well done.
Thanks.
Yeah, well done.
Now, do you have any other dumbest things you've heard all week?
Well, it's the one thing I've played a couple times. You probably heard me play it. In Virginia, they've got 50 tax increases. Dog walking tax, car repair tax, house repair tax. I mean,
and
they thought of 50.
Didn't the Democrats there run on affordability?
Yes, yeah, they did.
This is actually opposite of affordability.
Yeah, and I saw a woman yesterday from Virginia, a short clip on social media. She said her electric bill has gone from $300 a month to $601. She says her electric bill is now more than her car payment in Virginia. And then they come out with 50 new taxes, a dog walking tax, a tax to go to the gym. Anthony and I talked about this during the break. They should give you a tax break for going to the gym because you're trying to be healthy. Right?
You know those as you walk along trails and they have those little poop bags for the dogs, as they and you go around. Are there going to be taxes on picking up your dog poop too? Because,
probably.
Well, that's probably creating climate change. So
well,
we definitely need to tax that.
A tax on breathing. It's remarkable. They ran on affordability, and they've got 50 proposals to raise taxes on the people of Virginia. I feel sorry for them.
There's no better teacher than pain, Steve.
Well, that's true. I've just been a very slow learner my whole life.
Right. Well, I mean, the folks that elected these people into Virginia, well, now you have to face the consequences of what that meant.
Yeah.
And maybe next time they'll vote with their pocketbook.
Maybe. I don't think it does Virginia any favors for the midterm elections, but we'll see. My father used to tell me that. Payne's a very good teacher. My son Steve is just a slow learner.
Yes. Well.
True.
Trust me, I've had to deal with your hospital visits.
Hey, gravity always wins. We can count on gravity. Anyhow, Ivy, thank you. Love you.
Love you too.
All right, it's Friday. Ivy and I are going out on the town tonight. Or falling asleep. I'm not sure which. One of the two. I'll be right back. All right. Did you say there was a caller there, Brock?
Nope, they hung up.
What, they hung up? They had a chance to be famous here, and that's it?
Yeah, I know. Famous for like a minute or two.
Well, it's better than... It's if you get a minute or two, at least you're on your way to your 15 minutes. You know, maybe you get your 15 minutes 1 minute at a time. You ever think of that?
That's true.
Yeah. All right, for our friends on the East Coast, boy, are they hating it. I'm not kidding you. They're just hating it. Snow shovels sold out in places like Charlotte and elsewhere. More snow on the way for our friends there. Could be a foot of snow, maybe more. Apparently, in some places, this storm that's coming this weekend is going to dump more snow than the big storm from last weekend. There you go. Look, we live with it all the time. We have this cool skill in Michigan. It's called driving in winter. You folks should look into it. I'm not kidding you. Before I go, Patriots Relief, your CBD company, American CBD. PatriotsRelief.com offering you 46% off. 46% off all their products right now. Patriots Relief, America First CBD. 46% off. What a deal. It's a flash sale. If you've got anxiety, pain, you can't sleep, great products. I have it right here because I'm in pain a lot from going to the gym. I'm not 25 anymore, which kind of depresses me a little bit. But so it is. Anyhow, Patriots Relief, 46% off. Remember to support the folks that support this program. Get great products like this. Great for your animals, too. It is great for your animals, too, if they've got discomfort or pain. It is just a great company, good company to work with. Patriots Relief, 46% off. They're going to be really pleased with that. Been a great week. Been a busy week. A lot to cover. I'm sure next week's going to be quiet. Next week's going to calm right down. We'll have nothing to talk about. It'll just be a very snoozy week. You want to take the over-under on that? Yeah. Fight the good fight. Keep the faith. God bless America. I'm Steve Gruber. This is the Steve Gruber Show. And remember, my friend, only you can save America.
Me?
Yeah, you.
What?
Yeah, it's you, dude. It's all on you. You didn't know?
I won't let you down.
Attaboy.